What is up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Welcome back to another update here of my Prussian game. And here we are in the year 1700, where I kind of left off the last episode, the last update. And we're going to continue along with the timeline here at a little bit faster speed. So obviously, Scandinavia is in my personal union. I've integrated Savoy here, another big chunk out of Russia. My absolutism is quite high. I finally took everything that Castile, or Spain rather, had within the Genoan trading region, which is pretty cool. I'm sorry to say, guys, I took a big chunk of Tunis there, you can see. Prussian Siberia is a client state that I created. I changed the color there. I like that look better, nice and white. I was about to say that I went into the Ottomans here, but I'm sorry to say, those of you who are saying leave Tabristan alone, I did end up going into Tabristan, as you can see, fully annexing them. I went into Morocco, which also gave me some of West Africa, integrating Scandinavia, of course, and expanding once again into Spain down in the southern Iberian Peninsula. So multiple wars over the Ottomans, obviously multiple wars over Russia, reducing him just to a shadow of his former self. And yeah, another client state here as well. Trying to have a little bit of fun with it, because usually I set my goals and ambitions so high that I really feel like forced into one particular kind of playstyle. And that's part of the reason that I didn't get like admin ideas, for example, because I don't mind this game if I don't sort of conquer the world. Doing really, really well. A lot of people have suggested in multiple of my videos that I'm sort of about 100 years ahead, and that in my 1700 game, I was about where most people would finish the game. And I actually completely agree with that, not to sort of toot my own trumpet or anything. Like, this has been such a good game, and from my own experience, I really wanted to understand. It was long before I did my Brandenburg playthrough. I wanted to kind of gauge how hard it is to at least conquer all of Europe as Brandenburg, and it's quite difficult from my experience. And in fact, I've seen other YouTubers. In fact, there's one person who has a kind of like my German Europe game, and he didn't quite get it. He didn't quite get the British Isles up here. Yeah, and with that in mind, I'm easily, obviously, going to have obtained all of Europe. If I really wanted to push for it, I could have already done that, but so much more. I have 3 Diplo slots filled. One is just Ethiopia, which I'll probably break at some point. I do have diplomatic ideas, so I'm not too worried about cancelling my royal marriage or whatever. But I've got Prussian Siberia, or Siber, which I want to actually feed all of Russia, but also some more of these northern nations, so that they look nice. At the very least, I want them to have a horizontal name there. But I made another client state here, which is named Indisch Reich, just for some lols. And I tried to make the color nice and kind of reminiscent of, you know, I suppose India under Great Britain. I like that color, and obviously they have a little bit more than the Indian region here, but I plan to feed them all of India. So I'm kind of having in mind with my Diplo slots, we'll see how far I can get, but I would like to make kind of an East Asian client, sort of a Russian-esque client, Indian client, and then probably an Arabian and East African client. That's what, 4? And then probably a West African client. I'll see what else we can do. Now, because of my activity crushing these colonial nations and actually reducing them to, France, for example, has gone into Congo, Castile, Spain, Portugal and Spain rather, really weakening them, fighting them in wars. We have had the United States and Canada, which were both Spanish actually. If we look at the culture here, they are Castilian. Have joined. They're on the map, and that's pretty interesting. I often don't see that kind of thing myself, because I'm so desperately trying to annex these nations and obtain their colonies with my real try-harding kind of activity. But I'm just having a nice chill game here. Now, I have a tremendous amount of troops, guys, and of course they're extremely professional armies, which feels really cool. but nonetheless, my manpower is actually capped out. I've got a tremendous amount of money saved up, but making more. In fact, I spent a ridiculous amount, guys, when my grand shipyards came along. Look at that. There is literally 4 provinces, and that's because I recently conquered them, knocking out England, who was reduced to Ireland, that don't have grand shipyards. Now, obviously, some do not have the space for another building. But, I mean, that is how ham I've gone on buildings. Just building them like crazy. Not quite so much here with the manpower. Some of these are available now because I've reduced buildings or built universities. But yeah, really, really fun game. Absolutely smashing it. I'm just trying to bask in the glory and have a little bit of fun myself here. So my plan is to actually surround the entire Mediterranean Sea. And my truce has actually come up with the Ottomans. So my next war is going to be against the Ottomans and actually surround this. And now that's going to be crucial to do because you cannot... I would have already made a client state here and then feed them West Africa. But you cannot create a client state in overseas provinces. So I need to... I don't even think that the Strait would... Maybe it would. I think it might do. Actually, now I think about it. I know that you can't add Holy Roman Empire provinces over a strait like that. Oh god, the game's changed so much. Yeah, you can add over a strait. It just has to be in Europe now, the Holy Roman Empire. Either way, I'm going to basically make Prussian Maghreb joined up to Europe one way or another. And I'm going to be producing a client state here. Now my truce is up with Mali, which of course I'll attack and I don't have to call him up, making the client state. And with a lot of Indians as well, where I'm going to be feeding these subjects. However, they have been fed quite aggressively. In fact, I actually haven't been coring this land up here. I've been handing it over to Prussian Siberia when he's actually cored up some of the land himself. Also, they've been doing a good job converting their provinces to Protestant. I don't know why my client states didn't convert their provinces in my game where I was going for one faith, because I kind of was under the impression that they would, and it kind of just ruined my entire 104 episode series. It's no big deal or anything like that. I'm not extremely raging Caucasian or anything like that. I also thought it was funny that the United States, I can royal marriage them. So maybe we'll get a cheeky PU over the United States. But yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Just the real glory run here. Now, I did end up accepting Hungarian culture just because I had a slot, and I had added this region. And with that in mind, I decided, like, screw it. I just added, because I was gaining more and more states, and I've been very limited on admin because I've been using it for expanding. So I added a lot of these territories, stated them up, and accepted Hungarian culture. And with that in mind, I've spread... So many of these are low development, very easy with religious and... what is it called? The Institute. Enlightenment. Very easy and inexpensive to culture convert in this area. So that makes me feel good, man. Obviously, for obvious reasons. Converting Transylvania here to Hungarian as we speak. If we take a look at the culture, Prussian expanded, blobbed out a bit. Austrian expanded significantly into Italy. Swiss expanded a small amount here into Savoyan. Swabian expanding into basically Burgundy. And Francine as well. I've expanded them. I'm currently converting Normandy to Francine. English a little bit over into Wales here. And I did accept Danish as well after integrating Scandinavia. So you can see Danish, Czech, Polish, Hungarian, Francine, and English all accepted. It's hard to visualize, but if you look at it in that manner, just a tremendous amount of acceptance, and feels good, man. Feels good, man. We do ultimately get one more acceptance slot, and it would probably be Swedish. The Swedes only have one good state, though, quite frankly, which is their capital. So that's a bit of a shame. But there you go. As far as my trade is concerned, if we take a look at that, I've got 99% in the English Channel, and that's without collecting. That is my trade port. So I am collecting in Genoa, and we now have 97% in Genoa. I am collecting in Venice with 100%. You can see here that this is worth 64, 90, and 130. And so I should have one more. Here we go. But considering these are so high, I have one merchant here transferring out of from Alexandria, and this is where my lightships have been active. As you can see here, the Ottomans have basically dominated this region. If I didn't have all my lightships in here protecting trade, he dominates it. And there's almost 50 ducats coming through. In Constantinople, you can see I used to have a merchant in here transferring, but we have 100% control. So the amount is reduced now that the Ottomans collect here, but it's all trickling through, which is pretty cool. Trade is absolutely beastie. If we look at my economy, we've got 175 from taxation per month, 240 essentially from production, which is way over my tax, which makes me feel pretty proud. That's without any augmentation to production, which I kind of do like. But Prussian, see, if anything, I would have 10% production instead of taxation on Prussian ideas if it was my choice, but that's fine. And then 438 per month from trade, where we have a tremendous amount of troops with 400, and making a tremendous amount of money nonetheless. I have taken the policy. I did decide, as it's just become trivial, the amount of military points that I've been obtaining, to take the policy for the morale 5%, which is pretty bad, but the siege ability 10%, which I really like there. And if we look at my ruler, I don't have an heir currently, because my heirs kept being really bad, so I was disinheriting them. We can see my ruler has 5% discipline. Are you kidding me? And he's 636. Absolutely beautiful, because I've been in desperate need of those admin points. I actually haven't been expanding as much again. Like, I don't think there's been that much of a leap, but a lot of the reason is because I actually took admin ideas here, spent 800 here, and I'm going to be saving up to get this tech, basically. I'm not going to be doing any expanding until I have this tech, which is the last admin efficiency, and then at that point I'm going to accept my golden era and actually expand as much as I can going into the next 50 years, which will not leave much time remaining in the game. If we look at Protestantism, looking pretty cool. It's pretty funny that France got exiled out here and he is actually Protestant. The empire's obviously not up and running. Institutes, a lot of the world is pretty much all instituted up. There's no more institutes remaining. I'm trying to think of other map modes that people like to see. I don't think we have any. Let's look at development really quickly. I've done a freakish amount of development throughout this game, guys. But again, it's not really represented on this map mode too well. But I have developed a lot of these provinces with the 5% reduced cost that you can take here, and building the universities. If you look at how many universities I have, that's kind of indicative of where I've been developing, because it has reduced cost all around in northern Germany, Czech, Polish region. I'm wondering, where is devastation? There we go. So obviously no devastation essentially in Europe, which is pretty cool. And I guess we can look at technology. We're soaring far ahead. I'm doing a good job keeping up in technology. Sometimes when I try to do something crazy ambitious, like in the end of my Hungarian game, my tech was not that high because I was using it all to incorporate stuff. But there's one thing I wanted to do, guys, and it's a shame. It's a shame that it's relatively pointless to do this. But if we look here... Yeah, oh man, I almost freaked out for a second because it's not perfectly clear, because it looks grayed out. I've taken that Prussian discipline, which gives us fire damage received -20. So finally, for unfortunately pretty much literally no reason. Thank you, game, for not having cultural unions or Germany just being worse than Prussia for some reason. Thanks for that, game. I'm gonna form Germany just for the funsies. Sweet. And that recalled my merchants for no reason. My missionaries. Yeah. So we can see here that that's not red or anything. So we do retain the bonus. Cool. And Germany up and running feels good, man. Now the thing is, a lot of people have been saying form the Roman Empire. I might do it. There's many occasions where I could have formed the Roman Empire and gotten the Mare Nostrum achievement, whatever it's called. But like I kind of felt like leaving it for like a live stream in the future or an achievement run or something, doing it with Byzantium, for example. But I think there's no harm in getting it, and we can do something like that in the future anyway. And yeah, a lot of people have been saying it would be cool to do as Germany, and I certainly agree. I like it here how it says German Britain, or it was saying Prussian Britain earlier. That's cool. And I think this German Maghreb will disappear when we join it up. But yeah, give me ideas, guys, in the comments of cool little names to name our client states. One for basically a glorified China, West Africa and East Africa, Arabia. And that's pretty much it, I guess. Maybe a South Africa. Maybe if I give a South Africa and give them the Congo as well, so that this wasteland's all filled in, that would be cool. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video and this sort of updated series in general, as we are coming nearer to an end. I suppose there's probably going to be one final update before the end of the game. And I will see you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.